held under the theme Tapping the Power Within and featuring 13 prestigious speakers from around the region, the BVI, and the United States. The third Women's Empowerment Summit kicked off on Saturday, November 19th at the Eileen Parsons Auditorium at the HLSCC, where the territory's women received insightful and timely information that motivated and inspired all who took part in the event. By the end of the day, many were already looking forward to next year's workshop. JTV News' Eno Soman has this report.
The turnout to this year's Women's Empowerment Summit reflected that there is a desire among women to do more and be more, as they came out in their numbers for what promised to be an enriching one-day event that brought together a group of inspiring and accomplished women to give participants the tools that they need to lead their best lives. Portia Harrigan, the summit's founder and organizer, opened the event themed Tapping the Power Within. She made an appeal for women to be at the helm of the territory's healing process, noting that women have always been the nurturers in society.
Since we last met, a lot has happened in the world and right here at home. We have all experienced one challenge or another, or we know someone who has. But notwithstanding all of the challenges, there is still hope. Here in the BVI, we have just come through a change of government. And now that that is over, we must advance a process of healing. We must now begin to take stock, rebuild, and reunite, and as women, play a greater role in the development of our society. The healing process must be led by our women. For as much as we may change, there are certain fundamental principles that do remain the same. Men are still programmed differently, and women continue to be the primary nurturers of our society.
During an interview with Cecile DeYoung, wife of USVI Governor John P. DeYoung Jr., on the topic, A Woman's Worth, attorney Tananya Small Davis asked why women in the Caribbean fare differently to women in other parts of the world in regard to ascension in politics. DeYoung, in her response, said that it is important for women to begin stepping out of their comfort level and be more assertive.
When you look at the power behind the throne,
yes,
it's always women.
Yes.
And I go back to our comfort level, and I think we have to start stepping out more out of our comfort level in wanting to be the face. We have a terrific candidate in Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren.
Right.
But somehow males make her, they were talking about, there was a discussion about why she's so threatening to males, and one is she's tall, she's about 6 foot tall, and so she's a very physically imposing, but she's just no nonsense, very straight, but she has all the attributes of being very direct. I think women have a tendency when we're passive aggressive, if I don't like you, I'm not going to really come out and tell you that I don't like you. To your face, because that's just, but men, I think, are more very direct.
Yeah.
And you understand where they're coming from. And it's a very simplistic thing. I think we're more complicated than that in getting around, not liking someone. And in politics, it can get very, very personal.
Yeah.
And I think that, and we have to be open to exposing ourselves to the high degree of scrutiny.
Camille Robinson Regis, keynote speaker and former parliamentarian in Trinidad and Tobago, gave an illustration using a rubber band to show that although at first amorphous when stretched, it is possible for one to truly fly.
Stretch the rubber band because it shows how far what was an amorphous circle, if you just put it there, it's just a circle. But stretch it and then release it. Let it go. No, actually let it go. Stretch it and let it fly. Okay. Now, why I said I wanted you to stretch that rubber band and let it fly is to demonstrate to you that something could be really amorphous, like your life. It's just there, sitting there. But once you stretch yourself, once you recognize that you can be pulled and pushed in all directions, but stretch yourself, you can really, truly fly.
The summit included 3 75-minute breakout sessions on the path to financial freedom, a forum on the economy, job security, and financial freedom presented by international speaker and success coach Tishina Pettiford, who encouraged women to plan for years down the road so that others can benefit from their success.
You want to be the kind of entrepreneur that when you step away from your business, your money continues to grow. Yes. You know, there is different types of entrepreneurs. But the smart ones are the ones that know how to keep their money going even when they're not present. And so when I say look 10 years ahead, I mean, I don't want you to just look and say, you know what, I'm great at cooking, and what I could do is I could start a cooking business and I could sell my, my plates to some of the local people that are getting off of work. Well, that's great, but I want you to take it 10 years past that. And I want you to think about, okay, why don't I get a cookbook that I can make and I can put it in a bookstore, and even when I'm not around, someone can continue to buy that book and I'm continuing to get money from the proceeds from that book. Does that make sense? I want you to think about starting your own store, that even when you're not gone, you can start franchises. And even when you're not here, your money can continue to grow and you can leave generational wealth to your children. Does that make sense? So when you look and you say, I want to look 10 years down the road, I want you to look so far that you can see beyond where you currently are.
Awards were presented to Nona Vanterpool, President and CEO of Home Essentials and Vanterpool Enterprises Limited, as Businesswoman of the Year, and to Tessa Gunter, proprietor of the BVI Humane Society, as Female Humanitarian of the Year. In addition, Portia Harrigan launched eWomen, a new Caribbean women's magazine aiming to educate readers on the numerous concerns they face daily. This is Ino Soman for JTV News.